Well, I'm pleased to have with me today Lawrence Chong, the CEO and co-founder of Consulus, headquartered in Singapore. Lawrence is in London today to finalize and sign a strategic partnership with Lid Business Media, in which Lid will work with Consulus to develop its publishing arm, Consulus Press. So, Lawrence, welcome to London, and may I say how excited we are at Lid in informing this partnership with you and Consulus. So perhaps we could start by you telling us why and how you started Consulus.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to be here, Martin, together with you and colleagues. And I'm a great admirer of Lead Business Media in the work that you do and how you journey with authors who are also change makers in their fields. What Consulus does every single day is through our network in 23 countries from the Americas, Europe, Asia, and Africa, is how can we bring about a better economic system that continues to give space for everyone. And that idea is what we call the economy of communion. And I think increasingly, as we can see in the present day, the current economic system is not necessarily open to everyone's participation. And increasingly, we need to provide to make sure the least in our society have access to capital, have access to impact, have access to better their lives. And I think this is why when Consulus was founded 21 years ago, we resolved that in the work of consulting, we are not simply providing a service. We are a company with a mission. We are a company that is very intentional in trying to bring about change through the economy, through our work. And more importantly, we need to be able to bring people together across cultures, across ethnicities, and to be able to demonstrate that an economy for all is not just idealism, but it is common sense. And indeed, if you deny people the chance to be part of an economic journey together, that's when it threatens the very existence of humanity, because we cannot go alone. We need to go together. And that's really the heart of Consulus' work. And that's why this partnership with you and your colleagues here in Lit is so important, because you have the same belief that in humanity, there is still a lot of goodness. There is still a lot of need to learn from one another through the books.
So Lawrence, could you elaborate on what specifically attracted Consulus to partner with Lid, and why now is the right time to deepen your presence in London?
Well, first and foremost, I think and I believe that your company's mission in not just treating books as an additional vessel for information, but as a vessel for positive change. I've seen in the way you engage with authors, and you try to understand their personal journeys, and you try to make sure that there is a bigger message in any title that you bring on. That is key to the work. That's similar to the work that we do at Consulus as well. When we serve governments, companies, and individuals, we are always talking about what is the bigger purpose in life, and how will you impact others in order to bring about the common good. And so I think that resonated with me when I connected with you on LinkedIn, and I saw the level of effort you went into understanding the motivations of the authors. I'm not saying that the other publishers are not doing that, but I'm saying in specific terms that Lit is very clear that a bigger message is essential, and that the books are platforms for dialogue. The books are a platform for change, and that's exactly how Consulus view our work. A consulting project, a capital project where we're doing fundraising. These projects are not an end in itself. They are means to an end. They are means to bring about a united world through the economy. And I think that's when this bigger idea in what you do with your publishing business is more than just business for you. I sense that you enjoy knowing the humanity behind the authors. We enjoy knowing the humanity behind the politicians, behind the CEOs we work with, behind the social entrepreneurs we serve, because they are all there because they have this humanity in them to bring about the common good. It's not just for themselves. It's they feel they owe it to the bigger vision of life, to be embedded in communities and make a difference.
Understand. You mentioned earlier, Lawrence, that a key objective of Consulus is shaping this inclusive future economy, also defined as this economy of communion. Could you perhaps elaborate on Consulus's vision for this type of economy and how this partnership with LID will contribute to its realization?
Well, I can say that being in the UK is important for this reason, right? We have Adam Smith, who is widely considered the father of capitalism in the book The Wealth of Nations. And Adam Smith said this idea of the invisible hand based on the virtues of men. Well, that in itself is the original idea of capitalism, in which capital is acquired ultimately for the common good. But we know that over the many decades, capitalism has evolved more or less into a system where the few will benefit more than the others. So in a way, the virtues of good men and women is not enough to bring about the common good. We need to update capitalism to ensure that it will enable the common good. So the economy of communion is all about that. The economy of communion is talking about how can we bring capitalism back to its original intent, that a viable and sustainable economic system has to enable and result in good virtues and for the common good. So that's what the main mission of Consulus is all about. We understand that it's not a given. We understand that to arrive at that system again requires a lot of effort, good leadership, good system design, and every single day in all the projects that Consulus does, whether we are working with governments, whether we're working with business leaders, we are always trying to move them towards seeing how their work can really result in an inclusive and sustainable economic system. So it is real change from an economic point of view. It is not change based on idealism, but it's actually pragmatism, because if you continue to deny large swaths of the population economic livelihoods, you will create more uprising, you will engender a breakdown in society. And so it is a real and present danger. If we are not having the bigger conversation about how can we reshape a truly more inclusive and viable economic system. From Consulus' point of view, we think that capitalism as it stands is in crisis mode. It needs to be updated. So it's like operating system on our phone. It has not been updated for decades. So it's time to update the operating system to make it truly accessible to all.
I understand. So we at LID are very excited to be taking on the leadership of Consulus Press, the publishing arm of Consulus. What are your key expectations for Consulus Press under LID's guidance, and what kind of content and reach are you hoping to achieve through this collaboration?
First and foremost, I feel that Consulus Press is in good hands because, as I mentioned earlier, I saw how dedicated LID is in paying attention to the authors, their uniqueness, their personal mission, so on and so forth. We started Consulus Press as a press dedicated to change makers. We want to tell the untold stories of many change makers who struggle in the fields, who struggle in the front lines to bring about change. And they're not popular with media, but they are stories that need to be told. And also because it is really, if we are truly interested to bring about systemic change, then we need to make sure the very actors for change are given a higher profile. And given the vast experience of LID, given your attention to authors, we believe that you will be able to bring Consulus Press to a level that we can't do on our own. I mean, we are strong in strategy, we are strong in policy, we are strong in capital markets, but we are not strong as a publisher. But we had to start it to show that it's viable and we can bring our networks. I mean, we have change makers in economy, we have change makers in dialogue, we have change makers in the creative fields, we have change makers in culture, and we will bring that network to you, and we ask that you lead us in this aim to really perhaps create a whole entire industry. It's like publishing for change makers. And I think what increasingly we are talking about in Consulus is what we call the economics of change. So the idea of the economics of change is unless we have actors, unless we have systems, unless we have capital for change, change for a better economy is just a dream. It's not going to happen. And I think you taking on that leadership role frees us up for more time to work on the other pieces. Right? And I think it's really exciting, this partnership with you.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah. So you mentioned that Consulus has a very impressive presence in 23 countries. What unique perspectives and insights has this global network provided you that you think will be particularly valuable as you now deepen your engagement with London through this partnership with LID?
Well, if you look at the geopolitical upheaval that's going on, London is currently the global city where various actors can come together and feel comfortable to convene for the common good. And this is really important because as the world goes into this mode of confrontation, of non-dialogue, you need a city like London who still have all the various stakeholders, whether it's in terms of politics, economics, culture, identities, to be able to convene and consider and ponder solutions for the common good. And I think in particular, in this partnership together with LID, what is important for us right now in Consulus is we, as I mentioned earlier, the economics for change. So when we look at the economics of change, we can no longer ask people to join us to shape a better world because of advocacy, because of let me appeal to your good heart. We actually need to factually show how damaging it is, how economically unviable it is if you're not for the common good and for dialogue. Because this is actually what is going on, right? So Consulus is spending a lot of energy in capital, in making sure that capital is accessible. And one of the projects that we are hoping to launch in London is this idea of a very unique market for social enterprises, where a lot of social enterprises in many emerging countries, they do not have access to qualified capital. They can get grants, they can get foundation support, but it's not enough. And you talk about social enterprises for poverty alleviation, for climate change, if they continue to receive grants, they will never become large enough entities to bring about systemic change. And we are hoping that London, as a financial capital, as a capital for social impact, as a capital of various cultures, because the world meets in London, we will be able to bring about that capital for social good. And that capital for social good is actually the largest and most significant project that Consulus is working on right now. And we are hoping to announce the details of that in our upcoming Shape the World Summit in Rome and at the Vatican. And I think, again, in this special partnership together with LID and with other institutions that we have here in London, we feel that there is this urgency to bring about a different model to finance social enterprise. It cannot be business as usual. And now is the time. And that's why this partnership with you and in London is so critical to our mission.
And then finally, I follow you on LinkedIn quite extensively, and I can see you're constantly on the move, Lawrence. So perhaps you could share some of the key projects and initiatives that Consulus will be involved with this year, besides those in London.
Well, we are working with our partner SCL in Nigeria to help almost 1 million Nigerian farmers and communities, and that's important because if you look at the situation in Nigeria, it is really crucial that we bring much needed capital to help them ensure that these communities have sufficient food and also be self-sufficient and giving them access to viable capital in order to sustain these communities is one major project that we are working on. Another project that we are working on is this idea of journalism for a united world. Journalists are under attack everywhere. It's getting harder and harder to convince young people to be journalists. It's harder and harder to support journalism that promotes dialogue. So with the foundation, what we call the Nova Global Foundation that we help to run in Spain, we are trying to provide a safe space, and also we are trying to provide to secure funding for these journalists who are in the front lines, who are no longer supported by major corporations to continue to operate for the common good. We are also working on bringing together the worldwide design community. As you know, AI is threatening the livelihoods of many creatives, and we believe that the world will be poorer when creatives and people in the arts space no longer have access to viable business models. So that is an area that we are kind of focused on. So you can see across different projects, the common element that Consulus is involved in is the economic viability of these communities. Whether you talk about farming communities, you talk about the creative communities, you talk about the journalists, is how to support them with viable operating models and capital so that they can bring about positive change, right? So we also have one, which is the Alliance of Musicians. How do we finance musicians and artists, in the music space so that they can also impact, for the common good, right? So I think increasingly these are very unpopular areas, if you ask me, and we work in these difficult spaces because we believe that humanity will be poorer if these communities do not find the means to support their mission and work. Yeah.
It's fascinating. Yeah. I don't have any more questions, but is there anything you want to say?
I want to ask you.
Yeah, go on.
What is your vision for this partnership with Consulus, Martin, and you and your colleagues at LEAD?
Well, I think from LEAD's point of view, we also want to make an impact on the world and to make society better. And it's through partnerships that we've come to understand. It's through partnerships that we can achieve that. It's very difficult to do these things on your own, but I think having the right partner that can also guide and lead us is going to be tremendously helpful in helping us to achieve our aims for the world. But also ultimately, we want to work with authors who are true change makers, as you've described them. And I think that's a very good description of many of the authors that we work with. But I think as we go forward into this world, we are facing a very disruptive short-term future. And I think we do need authors, thinkers, thought leaders, to basically come up with those stories, to come up with those ideas that will make a difference and hopefully will inspire people to change for the better. So that's quite a major objective for us, working with Consulus, but also working with the authors that Consulus can bring to LEAD.
Yeah, that's why it's really exciting.
Indeed.
To begin this. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Yes.